Introduction: Awakening the Infinite Self. There comes a moment in every seeker's life when they realize that the world they have been conditioned to see is only a fraction of what truly exists. Beneath the surface of ordinary perception lies a vast, living intelligence, an unseen force that shapes reality, orchestrates synchronicities, and guides those who learn to listen. Some call it universal consciousness, divine mind, or the field of infinite potential, but no matter the name, its presence is undeniable. This book is not about theory, it is not about abstract philosophies or wishful thinking. It is a guide to direct experience, a manual for aligning your consciousness with the creative intelligence that has shaped the cosmos since the beginning of time. While many believe that wisdom and manifestation are reserved for mystics, sages, or those born with extraordinary abilities, the truth is much simpler. You already possess the power to shape your reality. The key is learning how to unlock it. In the previous book, The Other Side, we explored the hidden potential of the mind, the science of thought energy, and the practices that allow you to access higher states of awareness. We discussed how ancient wisdom aligns with modern discoveries in quantum physics, neuroscience, and consciousness studies, revealing that our thoughts and emotions are not passive. They are vibrational forces that influence the very fabric of reality. But awakening to this truth is only the beginning. True mastery comes when you no longer simply access higher intelligence in moments of deep meditation or clarity, but when you live in a constant state of alignment with it. When your mind, emotions, and energy field become attuned to the unseen forces shaping existence, life ceases to feel random or chaotic. Instead, it becomes an orchestrated dance where intuition, synchronicity, and manifestation occur naturally, without struggle or effort. This book is the next step in your journey. Throughout history, those who have unlocked the greatest secrets of human potential have spoken of a state beyond ordinary awareness, a place where one moves in harmony with universal intelligence. The mystics of the East called this samadhi, the union with divine consciousness. The Taoist sages referred to it as wu wei, the effortless flow of life. Indigenous shamans described it as walking between worlds, existing in both the seen and the unseen. In modern terms, this is the state where intuition becomes precise, synchronicities multiply, and manifestation becomes effortless. Those who operate from this level do not struggle to create their reality. They become a living conduit of divine intelligence itself. But how does one reach this level of mastery? The answer lies not in acquiring more knowledge, but in reprogramming the mind, refining the energy body, and deepening one's connection to the infinite. It requires moving beyond intellectual understanding into a lived experience of higher consciousness, a transformation that occurs when the mind, body, and spirit align. In this book, you will learn how to enter and sustain the alpha state at will, accessing a level of mind where higher intelligence flows freely. You will discover how to use Jose Silva's 3-screen visualization method to rewrite your past, reshape your present, and create a future aligned with your highest potential. You will come to understand how to master the vibrational field, learning how your thoughts, emotions, and energy patterns interact with the unseen forces that shape reality. Moving beyond ego-based manifestation, you will step into a state of co-creation with universal intelligence, where desires unfold naturally rather than through force. You will recognize and align with synchronicities, using them as guidance from the divine mind rather than dismissing them as coincidence. You will learn to break free from subconscious conditioning, shifting into a new paradigm where limitations dissolve and infinite possibilities emerge. And ultimately you will discover how to live as an awakened being, integrating spiritual wisdom into daily life without disconnecting from the material world. Many books speak of manifestation, positive thinking, and the power of the mind, but few address the deeper mechanics of consciousness, the science, spirituality, and practical application behind how reality is shaped. This book bridges that gap. It blends scientific discoveries in quantum mechanics, neuroplasticity, and the zero-point field with ancient mystical traditions from Egypt, India, Tibet, and indigenous wisdom keepers worldwide. You will not be asked to simply believe, you will be guided to experience. Every concept in this book will be accompanied by real-world examples, historical references, and step-by-step techniques that allow you to put these teachings into practice immediately. I ask only one thing as you embark on this journey. Approach it with an open mind and an open heart. The greatest barrier to transformation is not the complexity of the process, but the resistance of the conditioned mind. The ego will tell you that these ideas are impossible, that reality is fixed, that you are limited by your past, your circumstances, or your perceived abilities. But these are illusions, shadows cast by a mind that has forgotten its own divinity. As you move through this book, you may begin to notice strange things happening. You may start seeing unexpected synchronicities, where events align in ways that seem too precise to be random. You may experience deep moments of clarity, where insights arise effortlessly. You may feel a shift in your emotions and energy, a growing sense that you are no longer pushing against life, but flowing with it. When this happens, you will know that the awakening has begun. This is not fiction, this is not fantasy. This is the hidden reality behind all things, the truth that sages, mystics, and enlightened beings have known for millennia. And now, it is your time to remember. Let us begin. Chapter 1. The mind was just the beginning, accessing multidimensional awareness. The mind, powerful as it may be, is only a doorway to something far greater. At first, the search for truth begins in the realm of thought, studying books, absorbing philosophies, and engaging in deep contemplation. But the deeper one goes, the more evident it becomes that pure intellect has its limits. The greatest discoveries, the most profound insights, do not arise from analysis alone, but from a higher intelligence that transcends rational thought. Visionaries, mystics, and scientists alike have encountered this reality, an expanded awareness where knowledge flows effortlessly, where answers emerge before the question is fully formed, and where intuition bridges the gap between the seen and the unseen. The great mystics, scientists, and visionaries of history all arrived at this realization. Nikola Tesla, often regarded as one of the most brilliant minds of all time, once remarked that his greatest inventions came to him fully formed, not through calculation, but through flashes of insight received in deep states of contemplation. Albert Einstein, whose equations reshaped our understanding of the universe, spoke of intuition as the key to discovery, once stating, "The only real valuable thing is intuition." The Indian sage Ramana Maharshi, who attained self-realization at a young age, did not arrive at his enlightenment through academic study, but through an inner knowing that transcended thought itself. To access higher intelligence is not simply to think more, it is to tap into a realm of perception that exists beyond ordinary awareness. The mind, powerful as it may be, is limited by the constructs of language, logic, and the conditioning of experience. But there is another level of consciousness, a place where intuition, direct knowing, and an expanded awareness of reality become possible. This shift in perception is not a mystical fantasy. It is a process backed by both ancient wisdom and modern science. Throughout history, spiritual traditions have spoken of transcending the thinking mind to access higher dimensions of awareness. In Hindu philosophy, this is known as the superconscious state, where one moves beyond the turbulence of thoughts into direct communion with divine intelligence. Tibetan monks spend decades training their minds to enter states of heightened perception, where they report visions, insights, and understandings far beyond the limits of normal cognition. In indigenous traditions, shamans undergo deep trance states, allowing them to receive information not through study, but through direct experience. Modern neuroscience now confirms what these ancient traditions have long taught. Research into altered states of consciousness reveals that the brain is capable of shifting into frequencies that enhance creativity, intuition, and connection to non-local intelligence. Studies on the theta and delta brainwave states show that individuals in deep meditation, hypnosis, or even near-death experiences report profound insights, visions, and a sense of expanded awareness that defies conventional explanation. One of the most powerful ways to access this state deliberately is through the alpha state, the gateway to higher intelligence. This is the state where the conscious mind quiets, the subconscious mind becomes more receptive, and the barriers between personal awareness and universal intelligence begin to dissolve. This is not speculation. It is a process that has been studied, practiced, and refined by visionaries like Jose Silva, who developed a method for entering the alpha state to enhance intuition, problem-solving, and even healing. To experience this for yourself, you must first understand what happens when the brain slows to the alpha frequency. Normally, in daily waking life, the brain operates in beta waves, a state of alertness and active thinking. This is useful for logic and analysis, but also keeps the mind cluttered and restless. However, when the brain slows to alpha waves, 7 to 14 Hz, the body relaxes, the mind opens, and a heightened state of creativity, intuition, and connection to higher intelligence becomes available. Entering this state is not difficult. In fact, you naturally pass through it every night before sleep and every morning upon waking. But with the right technique, you can learn to access it deliberately and at will. Begin by choosing a peaceful area where you will not be interrupted. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, and take a deep breath, inhaling slowly through the nose and expelling gently through the mouth. As you breathe, envision your body getting lighter, as if you are sliding into a deep state of relaxation. Now begin to count backward from 100 to 1, allowing each number to lead you into deeper calm. Feel your awareness growing, your body releasing tension, and your mind slowing with each count. If thoughts emerge, let them pass like clouds floating across the sky, returning constantly to the quiet between breaths. When you reach 1, you will find yourself in a different state, not asleep, not fully awake, but in a tranquil, receptive awareness. This is the alpha state. Here, the usual constraints of time, logic, and limitation begin to fade. This is the space where the subconscious mind is most open to programming, where creative inspiration flows effortlessly, and where intuition speaks in whispers of deep knowing. In this state, solutions to problems often arise effortlessly, as if delivered from beyond. Scientists, artists, and inventors throughout history have unknowingly accessed this state in moments of great insight. Thomas Edison, for example, would often hold metal balls in his hands while resting in a chair, allowing himself to drift into a light trance. As his body relaxed, his grip would loosen, and the metal balls would fall, waking him just before he entered sleep, keeping him in the alpha state long enough to receive flashes of inspiration. Now that you have reached this state, you can begin to expand your perception beyond the limitations of the mind. Ask yourself a question you have been seeking an answer to, not with force or expectation, but with quiet curiosity. Then simply listen. You may receive an image, a word, or a feeling. You may sense a presence or a deep knowing. Whatever arises, allow it to unfold without judgment. The more you practice entering this state, the more effortless it becomes. Over time, you will find that intuitive insights emerge naturally, even in daily life. You will notice synchronicities appearing with greater frequency, as if the universe itself is responding to your thoughts in real time. You will begin to understand that your awareness is not confined to your brain, your body, or even your personal experience, but is connected to a vast living field of intelligence that permeates all things. The mind, as powerful as it is, was never meant to be the final destination of understanding. It is a tool, a bridge, a means to something greater. As you move beyond thought and into direct experience, you will come to see that true wisdom does not come from analysis alone, but from a place beyond words, beyond reason, a place where you and the universe are one. Chapter 2. The Vibrational Field. How Thoughts Become Reality. In the quiet of an isolated monastery high in the Himalayas, a group of monks sat in deep meditation, their chants reverberating through the stone walls. Outside, the wind howled, carrying the chill of the mountain peaks. But inside, the air was warm and still. One of the monks, an elder known for his deep wisdom, opened his eyes and raised his hand. Before him sat a bowl of water, perfectly still, without touching it. He focused his gaze, and within moments the surface of the water began to ripple, reacting not to physical movement, but to the intention of his mind. This was not a trick, nor was it an illusion. It was the demonstration of a truth that has been known for millennia. Consciousness affects matter. Thought is not confined to the brain. It extends beyond, influencing the very fabric of reality. What the ancient mystics of Tibet understood intuitively, modern science is only now beginning to explain. The idea that reality is shaped by unseen forces is not new. In ancient Egypt, priests practiced sacred sound vibrations to alter states of consciousness and influence the material world. The Vedas of India described the universe as Nada Brahma, meaning the world is sound, suggesting that all of existence is based on frequency. In the Hermetic teachings, the principle of vibration states that nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. And in modern times, quantum physics has revealed that matter is not solid, but a field of probabilities that responds to observation. The revolutionary investigations carried out by Japanese researcher Dr. Masaru Emoto further supported this claim. In order to see the crystalline formations that developed, he subjected water molecules to various phrases, feelings, and even music before freezing them. When the water molecules were exposed to words like love and gratitude, they arranged themselves into exquisite, complex designs. However, when the crystals were exposed to words like hate and fear, they became disorganized and broke apart. Given that emotions and ideas may influence water molecules, what impact could they have on the human body, which is primarily made of water? Furthermore, how might they affect the energy field that creates reality itself? Awareness triggers a response from the vibrating field that envelops and pervades everything. This implies that the ideas you have, the feelings you experience, and the convictions you uphold are not passive. Rather, they actively influence the events in your life. Every idea is a frequency. Each feeling is a signal. All beliefs are commands sent into the invisible fabric of life. To consciously direct this energy, one must learn to enter the alpha state, a state where the mind is deeply relaxed yet fully aware, where the subconscious becomes receptive, and where intention has the greatest power to imprint itself onto reality. Jose Silva, the founder of the Silva method, discovered that in this state the mind becomes a powerful transmitter, capable of influencing both internal and external conditions. To go into this state, start by closing your eyes and sitting in a peaceful area. Inhale softly via your nose and release the air through your mouth as you take a deep breath. Experience your body becoming more relaxed as you take deeper breaths. Now start counting from 100 to 1 in reverse. Let yourself float into a more peaceful condition with each number. Allow thoughts to come and go like clouds, continually returning to the inner silence. You'll be in a different state of awareness, not sleepy but not quite awake, once you reach 1. The alpha state is the starting point for a higher level of consciousness. Now that you are in this state, you can begin using Jose Silva's 3-screen visualization technique to reprogram your mind and reshape your reality. Imagine 3 large screens before you, as if in a theater. On the left screen, visualize a past event that has influenced your present reality. If this event was negative or limiting, see it dissolving into pure light, its power over you fading away. On the center screen, see yourself as you are now. Observe without judgment. Recognize that this moment is the result of past thoughts, past emotions, and past intentions. Accept it fully, knowing that change begins with awareness. On the right screen, project a vivid image of your desired future. See it clearly, in full color, as if it is happening now. Feel it with every sense. Hear the sounds, breathe in the sense, experience the emotions of already having what you seek. The more detail you bring, the more powerful the imprint on your subconscious. Now step into that screen, become one with the vision. Feel yourself already living in that reality. When you are ready, take a deep breath and affirm, "It is done." Slowly open your eyes, carrying the certainty that the energy has been set in motion. Reality is not static. It is fluid, responding to the vibrations you emit. This is why those who dwell in negativity attract struggle, while those who cultivate gratitude and faith seem to move through life effortlessly. The vibrational field does not judge, it simply reflects. What you send out, you receive. What you believe, you experience. And what you consciously create in the alpha state has the power to manifest in ways beyond what the logical mind can comprehend. Chapter 3. Sacred Stillness. Accessing the Divine through Silence and Presence. In the heart of the Egyptian desert, beneath the towering silhouette of the Great Pyramid, an initiate sat in deep meditation. The golden sands stretched endlessly around him, and the silence was absolute. He had been led here by his master, a keeper of ancient wisdom, and instructed to sit through the night in perfect stillness, listening not with his ears, but with his soul. The desert was vast, the stars luminous above, but within the silence, something even greater unfolded. As the hours passed, the chatter of the mind faded, the self dissolved, and a presence emerged, an awareness that was not his own yet, had always been there. Throughout history, mystics and sages have understood this secret. Silence is the presence of the infinite rather than the absence of sound. In this sacred silence, the doorway to divine intelligence opens, the heart becomes open, and the intellect ceases to grasp. Seekers of true wisdom have always distanced themselves from the world's cacophony in order to commune with this more profound consciousness. Jesus went through the desert for 40 days. The Bodhi tree is where the Buddha became enlightened. Leaving civilization behind, the desert fathers of early Christianity sought God in the solitude of the caves. And why? The mind becomes deaf to the higher self's whispers when it is enmeshed in the chaos of everyday existence. But the cosmos communicates in silence. The old mystics were always right, and modern science is now proving it. Long periods of quiet and deep stillness remodel the brain, strengthening regions linked to intuition, emotional control, and increased awareness, according to meditation studies. In his research on the benefits of contemplative practice, neuroscientist Dr. Andrew Newberg discovered that profound meditation reduces activity in the parietal lobes, which are part of the brain that are involved in the sense of self and separation. When this area of the brain is silent, people describe feeling very united, as though they are blending with a larger field of intelligence that is outside of themselves. This explains why quiet times are typically when brilliant insights occur. To reach higher intelligence, one must learn to surrender, to enter the space where the mind stops and presence grows, rather than to think, analyze, or strive. In order to develop this consciousness, one must work on achieving sacred stillness, which is a type of profound meditation that provides direct access to the infinite. In contrast to affirmation or active visualization, this approach only calls for receptivity. The mind is cleared and one just listens in this moment of pure being. Find a peaceful area and sit comfortably with your hands resting lightly in your lap and your spine straight to start. With your eyes closed, inhale deeply through your nose and release it through your lips. Every time you breathe, feel the tension leaving your body. Next, shift your focus to the void between ideas. Just watch without trying to impose a stillness. A notion might come to mind. Accept it and move on. Go farther down into the silence. As your mind calms, turn your focus from who you are to the presence that underlies your thoughts. The voice in your head and your fluctuating emotions are not you. They're being watched by you. In a quiet voice, ask, "Who is listening?" If you sit long enough in this state, something extraordinary happens. The self begins to dissolve. The sense of separateness fades. In its place, a vast and profound awareness emerges, a presence that is ancient, boundless, and deeply familiar. This is the state the mystics called the divine union. The moment when the drop remembers, it is part of the ocean. At first, this experience may come in glimpses, a feeling of profound peace, a fleeting moment of vastness, but with practice it becomes a state you can enter at will. Over time, you will begin to sense this presence not only in stillness, but in everyday life. The mind becomes quieter and thoughts less chaotic. The world takes on a luminous quality, as if reality itself is infused with intelligence. And in this state, Intuition sharpens, synchronicities multiply, and life begins to flow in effortless harmony with the unseen forces that guide it. The great Sufi poet Rumi wrote, "Silence is the language of God, all else is poor translation." To hear this language, one must first learn to quiet the noise of the world and the restless chatter of the mind. Beyond words, beyond thought, beyond even desire, there lies a space where the infinite waits, whispering truths that cannot be spoken, only known. To enter this space is not to escape reality, but to awaken fully to it. The mind is a tool, a magnificent instrument, but it is in silence that one finally hears the song it was always meant to play. Chapter 4. Mastering Synchronicity, Recognizing and Aligning with Divine Flow. It was a quiet afternoon in Zurich when Carl Jung, the great psychologist and mystic, sat across from a troubled patient. She was an intelligent woman, deeply rational, yet trapped in a cycle of inner turmoil. As she spoke about a dream she had the night before, a dream in which a golden scarab beetle appeared, she dismissed it as meaningless, just another illusion of the unconscious mind. At that precise moment, a tapping sound came from the window. Jung turned and, to his astonishment, saw a scarabæid beetle, a golden one, desperately trying to get inside. He opened the window, caught the beetle, and handed it to the woman. "This," he said, "is your scarab." The event shattered her skepticism. In that instant, something within her shifted. She could no longer deny that unseen forces were at play in her life. Jung called this phenomenon synchronicity, the mysterious alignment of events that seem connected, yet have no direct causal relationship. He believed that these meaningful coincidences were messages from the unconscious, signs from the deeper intelligence that governs reality. Throughout history, mystics, sages, and visionaries have spoken of these moments when reality bends, time folds, and the impossible becomes undeniable. The ancient Greeks called this divine timing kairos, the moment when the unseen forces of the universe arrange events with perfect precision. The Taoists described it as wu wei, the effortless way, where one flows in harmony with the currents of existence. In indigenous traditions, synchronicities are seen as spirit signs, guides that reveal the next step on the path. Modern science is beginning to explore this phenomenon. Studies in quantum mechanics suggest that particles separated by vast distances can instantly influence one another, a concept known as quantum entanglement. This hints at a universe far more interconnected than previously imagined, one where consciousness itself may play a role in shaping events. Dean Radin, a leading researcher in parapsychology, has conducted studies showing that human intention can influence random number generators, suggesting that the mind is not separate from the reality it perceives. Synchronicity is not random. It is the result of alignment with higher intelligence. Those who experience it frequently are not merely lucky. They have learned to move in harmony with the flow of life. They have trained themselves to recognize the subtle guidance of the universe, to trust their intuition, and to follow the path that unfolds before them. To cultivate synchronicity in your own life, you must first develop awareness. Most people miss these signs because they are lost in mental noise, overanalyzing every decision or doubting their inner guidance. The key is to quiet the mind and learn to recognize patterns, noticing repeated numbers, chance encounters, or unexpected messages that seem too precise to be mere coincidence. The second step is to follow the flow. When an opportunity arises, when doors open effortlessly, when life nudges you in a particular direction, resist the urge to overthink. Trust the unfolding. The universe is always speaking, but it requires an open heart and a receptive mind to hear its message. A powerful exercise to strengthen this connection is the synchronicity meditation. Find a quiet place, close your eyes, and enter a relaxed state using the Alpha technique. Once in a meditative state, recall a time when you experienced a profound synchronicity, a moment when the universe seemed to be speaking directly to you. Relive it fully, feeling the sense of awe and connection. Now, affirm to yourself, I am open to guidance. I trust the flow of life. I recognize the signs placed before me. Sit in this energy for a few minutes, then release all expectations. Over time, you will notice synchronicities becoming more frequent. A thought will arise, and the answer will appear in an unexpected conversation. A book will fall off a shelf at just the right moment. The right person will enter your life precisely when needed. When this happens, acknowledge it. Express gratitude. The more you recognize synchronicity, the more it will recognize you. There is a hidden intelligence behind all things. Some call it destiny, others call it divine order. It is neither random nor chaotic. It is precise, deliberate, and ever-present. Those who learn to align with it move through life with a sense of grace and wonder, knowing that they are not alone, that the universe is not indifferent, and that every moment is part of a grand, unfolding design. Chapter 5. The Spiritual Laws of Influence and Manifestation. A young disciple once approached his master, troubled by the seeming randomness of life. "Why do some people struggle endlessly while others succeed with ease?" he asked. The master led him to the edge of a still lake, handed him a small stone and said, "Throw this into the water." The disciple obeyed, watching as ripples spread outward in perfect concentric circles. The master smiled. "Every thought, every action, every belief is like this stone. It sends ripples through the fabric of reality, shaping the world around you. The wise understand this and create consciously. The unaware do so blindly, not realizing they are the architects of their own fate. Fundamental principles, invisible laws that control both the physical and metaphysical domains, dictate how the cosmos functions. Spiritual principles govern the flow of energy, consciousness, and manifestation in the same way as gravity governs the motion of objects on Earth. Both contemporary science and old wisdom traditions acknowledge that these rules are the fundamental mechanisms of creation, not superstition. Understanding them allows one to work with life rather than against it, directing their energies to flow in unison with the more profound currents of reality. One of the most powerful of these is the law of vibration. The great Hermetic teachings recorded in the Kybalion state that nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. Your thoughts, emotions, and intentions carry frequencies that interact with the quantum field, influencing the events and circumstances that unfold in your life. This aligns with findings in modern physics, particularly in the study of quantum mechanics. The famous double-slit experiment demonstrated that particles behave differently depending on whether they are observed, suggesting that consciousness itself plays a role in shaping reality. The law of correspondence, another ancient principle, tells us that the outer world is a reflection of the inner world. The phrase "as within, so without" is not merely poetic, it is literal. Your external reality is a mirror of your dominant thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. A person who harbors resentment will find reasons to be resentful. One who radiates gratitude will notice blessings appearing effortlessly. The energy you carry internally sets the frequency for what you attract externally. This brings us to the law of mental imprinting, a principle demonstrated not only in metaphysical teachings, but also in neuroscience. Studies on neuroplasticity reveal that the brain does not distinguish between real and vividly imagined experiences. Athletes have used this principle to improve performance through mental rehearsal. Olympians have trained their bodies simply by visualizing their movements in perfect precision. If the mind is powerful enough to reshape neural pathways, why would it not also influence external conditions? To harness this power deliberately, one must become a conscious creator rather than an unconscious reactor. Most people live in a state of mental and emotional chaos, allowing fear, doubt, and external circumstances to dictate their inner state. But the spiritual laws do not respond to struggle. They respond to clarity, alignment, and unwavering intention. Jose Silva's three-screen visualization method is one of the most effective ways to apply these principles. To begin, enter the alpha state using the deep relaxation technique from earlier chapters. Once in this receptive state, bring to mind three mental screens. On the left screen, visualize a past event where you felt powerless. and where things seem to happen beyond your control. Observe it without judgment. Now, imagine yourself stepping into that memory as your present, empowered self. Change the energy of the scene. Rewrite the emotional imprint. See yourself responding differently, from a place of mastery rather than fear. This reprograms the subconscious, dissolving old patterns that block the manifestation. On the center screen, focus on your present reality. See yourself exactly as you are without resistance. If there are struggles, recognize them as temporary conditions shaped by past patterns of thought. Shift your energy to neutrality and acceptance. On the right screen, project your desired reality, the life you wish to create. Make the image vivid, alive, and infused with energy. See yourself stepping into it, not as a distant possibility, but as a present reality. Engage all senses. What does this new reality feel like? What does it sound like? The more real it becomes in your mind, the faster it imprints upon the quantum field. Finally, step into the vision and affirm, "This is already mine." Skeptics may dismiss this as mere imagination, but the world's greatest innovators, visionaries, and leaders have all harnessed this technique, whether consciously or not. Nikola Tesla often said that his inventions came to him fully formed, appearing in his mind's eye before he ever built them. Steve Jobs spoke of bending reality, a term that described his ability to manifest visions into the material world with an almost mystical precision. They were not simply dreamers, they were master creators who understood how to make the unseen seen. But to truly master these laws, one must also understand the law of resonance, the principle that you do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. Many people struggle with manifestation because they focus solely on the external outcome while neglecting their internal state. If you seek abundance but vibrate in lack, you will continue to experience scarcity. If you desire love but hold on to fear and unworthiness, you will attract relationships that reflect those inner wounds. This is why raising one's vibrational frequency is essential. Gratitude, joy, and love are the highest vibrational states. They place you in direct alignment with divine intelligence, allowing synchronicity and effortless creation to unfold. Practices like deep meditation, breathwork, and heart coherence techniques raise this frequency, making manifestation not an act of willpower, but a natural byproduct of being in harmony with the universe. The ancient sages understood that reality is not something to be controlled, it is something to be aligned with. The forces that shape existence are not arbitrary. They are precise, responsive, and deeply intelligent. By mastering the spiritual laws of vibration, correspondence, mental imprinting, and resonance, you no longer fight against the currents of life. You move with them. You create effortlessly, not by force, but by becoming a vibrational match to the life you seek. And so the young disciple, standing by the still lake, finally understood. The stone had been thrown. The ripples were inevitable. His only choice was to decide what kind of stone he would cast into the waters of existence. Chapter 6. The Role of Emotion in Manifestation and Healing. A healer once told a story of a woman who had spent years battling a mysterious illness. Doctors could find no clear cause, and no treatment seemed to work. Desperate, she sought guidance from an energy healer who, instead of focusing on her physical symptoms, asked her a single question. "What pain are you holding on to?" At first, she resisted. She had no trauma, no unresolved grief, at least none she was consciously aware of. But as the healer gently guided her into deep meditation, emotions she had long suppressed began to surface. Memories of childhood rejection, years of silent resentment, moments of profound heartbreak, all hidden beneath layers of denial. She wept for the first time in years, allowing emotions to flow freely. And something extraordinary happened. Within weeks, her body began to heal. The pain faded. The illness lost its grip. She had not just treated her symptoms, she had released the emotional energy that had been trapped in her cells. This story is not an isolated case. Across spiritual traditions and modern science, one truth emerges. Emotion is not just a fleeting feeling. It is energy, and it holds the power to shape both the mind and the body. It is the invisible force behind manifestation, the hidden key to deep healing, and the bridge between thought and reality. While many people focus on affirmations, visualizations, and positive thinking, they often overlook the emotional charge that determines whether these practices succeed or fail. Emotion is the fuel that gives thoughts power. It is the vibration that interacts with the unseen field of reality, turning mere ideas into tangible experiences. Ancient wisdom has long recognized this. In Chinese medicine, unprocessed emotions are believed to become stagnant energy, which can lead to illness. The Vedic traditions of India speak of emotions affecting the chakras, or energy centers, determining the flow of life force within the body. Indigenous shamans describe emotions as spirits of energy, capable of possessing or liberating a person, depending on how they are handled. Modern science is now catching up to what these traditions have known for millennia. One of the most profound discoveries in recent years comes from the HeartMath Institute, which studies the electromagnetic field generated by the human heart. Research has found that the heart's energy field extends several feet beyond the body, and its signals can influence both personal health and external circumstances. More importantly, the heart's electromagnetic waves shift depending on emotional states. When a person experiences love, gratitude, or joy, their heart's frequency becomes coherent, creating a state of alignment with the larger energy field of the universe. In contrast, emotions like fear, anger, or despair create chaotic frequencies, which disrupt not only personal well-being, but also one's ability to manifest desired outcomes. This aligns perfectly with what the law of resonance teaches. You do not attract what you think, you attract what you feel. A person who says, "I am wealthy," but secretly feels lack will continue to struggle financially. Someone who affirms, "I am loved," yet carries deep self-doubt, will find relationships reflecting that insecurity. This is why positive thinking alone is often ineffective. It is not enough to say the words. The emotion behind them must match the reality you seek to create. To master manifestation and healing, one must first learn to shift emotional frequency deliberately. One of the most effective ways to do this is Jose Silva's 3-screen emotional reprogramming method, which combines alpha state relaxation with emotional transformation. Begin by closing your eyes and entering the alpha state, using the deep relaxation method from earlier chapters. Once you feel calm and centered, bring to mind 3 screens in your mind's eye. On the left screen, recall a moment in your life when you felt deep pain, fear, or sadness. Do not resist it. Observe it as an outsider, feeling the energy of the emotion without letting it overwhelm you. Now, begin to alter the image. See the pain dissolving into pure white light. Imagine comfort and warmth replacing it, as if you are rewriting the past with the energy of healing. Breathe deeply as the negative charge dissipates. On the center screen, focus on your present emotional state. Observe yourself without judgment. If there is any lingering tension or unresolved emotion, acknowledge it fully. Now, shift your breath, placing one hand over your heart. Breathe in slowly for 5 counts. Hold, then exhale for 5 counts, syncing your breath with a feeling of peace. This heart-centered breathing brings your energy field into coherence, shifting you into a high vibrational emotional state. On the right screen, visualize a future moment where you feel completely fulfilled, radiant, and in perfect alignment. See yourself not just achieving success or healing, but feeling the joy, love, and peace that come with it. Amplify this emotion, breathe it in, and allow it to expand throughout your entire body. Feel it as though it has already happened. Hold this state for several moments, then affirm, "This is already mine." This practice is not just psychological, it is energetic. The moment your emotional frequency aligns with your desired reality, you become a magnet for it. This is why great spiritual masters, from Buddha to Yogananda, emphasize the power of deep inner peace. The more aligned your emotions are with your intentions, the more effortlessly they manifest. Beyond manifestation, emotional mastery is also the key to self-healing. Dr. Joe Dispenza, a neuroscientist and meditation expert, has documented cases of individuals who have reversed chronic illnesses, simply by changing their emotional states. When people shift from stress and fear to gratitude and love, their body chemistry changes. Stress hormones like cortisol decrease, while regenerative chemicals like oxytocin and serotonin increase. Cells begin to repair, the immune system strengthens, healing becomes a natural byproduct of emotional alignment. The implications are profound. If emotions influence not just the body, but also external reality, then mastering them is the key to transforming every aspect of life. This is why spiritual traditions emphasize forgiveness, gratitude, and love, not as mere virtues, but as vibrational states that elevate consciousness. Mastering emotion is not about suppression or forced positivity. It is about consciously directing emotional energy, recognizing when it is misaligned, and shifting it intentionally. To create abundance, feel abundant now. To attract love, become the vibration of love. To heal, embody the feeling of wholeness before the body reflects it. The woman who healed from illness did not just change her thoughts, she changed her emotional field. She let go of past pain, shifted her frequency, and aligned her energy with a new reality. The same power exists within every person. Emotion is not a passive experience. It is a force, a current that moves through the universe, shaping the seen and unseen. It is the secret language of creation, the silent architect of destiny. And once you master it, you hold the key to manifesting anything. Chapter 7. The Ego and the Higher Self. The Final Illusion to Overcome. A young seeker once traveled to the Himalayas in search of wisdom. He had studied ancient texts, practiced deep meditation, and sought the guidance of enlightened teachers. Yet despite his knowledge, he felt something was blocking his spiritual progress. One day, he climbed to a remote monastery where a revered master lived in solitude. Sitting before the master, he asked, "Why do I feel as though I am standing in my own way?" The master smiled and handed him a cup. He began pouring tea, but even as the cup overflowed, he continued pouring. "Stop," the seeker cried. "The cup is full." The master looked into his eyes and said, "Exactly. How can I give you wisdom when you are already full of yourself?" The seeker was stunned. At that moment, he understood. His mind was filled with ideas, beliefs, and attachments to his identity. It was not the world that was blocking him. It was his own ego. The illusion of the separate self is the biggest delusion that every seeker must get past. The voice in our minds that clings to our identity, status, and personal narratives is our ego, and it is not who we really are. It is a fabrication, a mask created by experience and conditioning. It compares, it yearns, it worries, it looks for approval. However, the higher self, the vast, boundless consciousness that is linked to everything, lies beyond the ego, unaffected by doubt or fear. This dual nature within us is mentioned in all spiritual traditions. The Atman, the eternal self that exists outside of the ego's fabricated identity, is described in the Vedic texts. Suffering, according to Buddhism, results from attachment to the false I and mine. In order to awaken to divine consciousness, Christian mystics talked about dying to oneself. According to contemporary neuroscience, the ego, or the self-image we create, is really a tale the brain tells itself. The ego isn't always a terrible thing. It has a purpose in guiding us through the physical world. It makes us feel unique, which enables us to make decisions and develop. However, the ego turns into a prison when it takes over as the master rather than the servant. It opposes change, holds onto old scars, and fears the future. It seeks to control, yet sacrifice is necessary for real change. Being conscious of the ego is the first step towards transcending its constraints. To do this, the easiest method is to observe the mind, take a seat quietly, and pay attention to your ideas. Take a look at the ego's speech. It worries, it judges, it seeks acceptance. Who is watching these ideas, you might ask? Who is hearing? Who is? The first step to awakening is asking this question. Distance between you and the ego is established the instant you realize that you are the observer and not the thoughts. You enter the realm of the higher self's consciousness. The voice in your head is not you. Rather, you are the limitless consciousness that gives it voice. Alpha state identity shift, developed by Jose Silva, is one of the most effective methods for breaking the grip of the ego. You can achieve a state of expanded awareness with this technique, where the higher self becomes apparent and the ego's hold is loosened. Locate a peaceful area and close your eyes to start. Breathe deeply and let your body relax fully. Now, slowly count from 100 to 1 to enter the alpha state. Feel yourself becoming more at ease and receptive with every number. When you get to number 1, focus on your sense of self. What kind of person do you think you are? Which roles are you in? Imagine leaving yourself now as though you were removing an old garment. Watch as the you that is shaped by labels, anxieties, and past experiences dissolve into the light. Now turn your focus to something expansive and boundless. Experience your higher self, a condition of existence that transcends form, name, and limitations. Allow this condition to deepen by sitting in it for as long as you can. You might experience a deep silence, a feeling of openness, or perhaps a blurring of boundaries. This is who you really are. This is the truth that goes beyond the delusion of I. You will notice a change when you get back to your regular waking state. Although the ego's voice will still be present, it won't have as much influence over you. You'll recognize it for what it is, only a mental habit, a voice, and you will be free in that consciousness. Throughout history, those who have awakened to this truth have moved through life with effortless peace and wisdom. The Zen masters laughed at the absurdity of the ego's struggles. The Sufi poets wrote of dissolving into divine love. The great yogis lived without fear, knowing that they were never separate from the infinite. The paradox is this: the more you release the ego's grip, the more life flows in your favor. The less you seek to control, the more the universe aligns to support you. The less you identify with fear, the more you experience love. This is why those who operate from the higher self do not struggle to manifest their desires. They no longer attract from a place of lack or desperation. They become what they seek, and the universe simply mirrors it back to them. When the young seeker in the Himalayas finally emptied his mind, he was ready to receive true wisdom. And when you begin to dissolve the false self, you too will discover the vast, limitless intelligence that has always been within you, waiting, patient, infinite. The final illusion to overcome is the belief that you are separate from it. You never were. You were always the infinite in disguise. Chapter 8. The Inner Alchemy of Transformation. A traveler once sought out a legendary alchemist rumored to have discovered the secret of turning lead into gold. After years of searching, he found the alchemist living humbly in a remote village. "Teach me the secret of alchemy," the traveler begged. The old master smiled and handed him a mirror. "Look into this," he said. The traveler stared, confused. "I asked for the secret to turning lead into gold, not for a mirror." The alchemist's eyes twinkled with knowing. "That which you seek outside yourself is only a reflection of what must happen within. True alchemy is not about transforming metal. It is about transforming the self." The greatest alchemists, mystics, and sages throughout history have taught that real transmutation does not happen in laboratories, but in the human mind and soul. The lead they spoke of was never ordinary metal. It was the dense, unrefined consciousness of the lower self. And the gold was not material wealth, but the illumined state of being, the transfiguration of human consciousness into its highest potential. This process, known as inner alchemy, is the sacred art of transforming fear into wisdom, limitation into power, and suffering into enlightenment. It is the journey from fragmentation to wholeness, from ego-driven existence to the full embodiment of higher intelligence. The ancient Taoists understood this deeply, developing practices to refine their inner energy, or qi, to cultivate longevity and spiritual enlightenment. The Sufis spoke of polishing the mirror of the heart until it perfectly reflected the divine. The Hindu yogis described it as the dissolution of the false self into the infinite. And in the esoteric teachings of the West, the magnum opus, the great work of alchemy, was always about the purification of the soul, the awakening of the true divine self. What these ancient traditions have long known is now validated by modern neuroscience. We are not constrained by prior conditioning, as demonstrated by Dr. Joe Dispenza's neuroplasticity research. It is possible to rewire the brain and nervous system to produce completely different ways of feeling, thinking, and perceiving the world. Fears, limiting beliefs, and emotional traumas are just patterns stored in the nervous system that may be rewritten with intention and focused awareness. They are not permanent. To undergo this inner transformation, one must move through 3 distinct phases, mirroring the 3 stages of alchemy: calcination, the dissolution of the old self; transformation, the rewiring of the mind and energy-body integration; the embodiment of higher consciousness. Stage 1. Calcination, breaking down the old self. True transformation begins with the burning away of illusions, the release of everything that no longer serves you. In alchemical terms, calcination is the process of breaking down raw material to extract its essence. In personal transformation, this means dissolving false beliefs, outdated thought patterns, and deeply rooted fears. One of the most effective ways to do this is through Jose Silva's deep mind purification method. To begin, enter the alpha state using deep relaxation. Once in this receptive state, imagine a great fire before you, a powerful, radiant energy that consumes all limitations. Bring to mind a belief, memory, or fear that has held you back. See it clearly in your mind's eye. Now, place it into the fire. Watch as it burns, turning into pure white light. Feel its weight lifting from you. Repeat this with anything else that arises, letting go one by one of the burdens that no longer define you. Many people resist this process, fearing what they might lose. But in reality, nothing real can be lost, only illusions. What remains after this purification is your true essence, unburdened, free. Stage 2. Transformation, rewiring the mind and energy body. Once the old patterns have been dissolved, the next step is to rebuild, intentionally shaping your consciousness into a new, higher form. This is where true alchemy happens. The key to this transformation lies in emotional mastery, learning to shift into the vibrational state of the reality you wish to experience. As we saw in the previous chapter, manifestation is not just about thinking, it is about feeling. The law of resonance states that you do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. To embody a new reality, begin by visualizing your ideal self, the version of you that has already undergone this transformation. How does this version of you think, feel, act? What energy do they radiate? Feel it now, as if it is already yours. Hold on to this state for as long as possible, knowing that each moment spent in this vibration rewires your mind and nervous system to match this new identity. Neuroscientific studies on mental rehearsal show that when you vividly imagine an experience with deep emotion, your brain records it as real. This is why athletes improve performance simply by mentally rehearsing movements. The same principle applies to spiritual transformation. By embodying the emotions of your highest self now, you create the neurological and energetic conditions for that reality to unfold. Stage 3. Integration, embodying higher consciousness. The final stage is integration, bringing this new awareness into daily life. Many seekers experience deep spiritual insights during meditation, but struggle to maintain them in ordinary situations. The key is to practice living from this new state of being, not just in stillness but in every moment. This requires presence, a deep awareness of when the old self tries to re-emerge. Observe the thoughts and reactions that arise. If an old fear surfaces, do not resist it. Simply recognize it as a remnant of the past. You are no longer that version of yourself. Each time you catch an old pattern and choose differently, you strengthen the new identity, anchoring it deeper into reality. This is the true magnum opus of alchemy. Not the transformation of lead into gold, but the transformation of the self into its highest, most radiant form. Throughout history, those who mastered this process have moved through life with a rare and powerful presence. The Zen masters radiated effortless peace. The ancient Egyptian initiates wielded knowledge beyond their time. The Sufi poets spoke of dissolving into divine love. These were not mere ideas to them, they were embodied states of being. And so the traveler who had once sought the secret of alchemy finally understood. The gold was never outside. It was never in formulas or laboratories. It was always within. You are the alchemist. The lead is your old self. The fire is your awareness. And the gold is the awakened consciousness waiting to emerge. The transformation has already begun. The only question is, are you ready to step into the new reality you have created? Chapter 9. Merging the Seen and the Unseen, Living as an Embodied Mystic. A philosopher once asked a Zen master, "What is enlightenment?" The master smiled, picked up his bowl, and began eating his rice. Confused, the philosopher pressed further, "But what happens after enlightenment?" The master looked up, still chewing, and replied, "I finished my rice." This simple exchange holds a profound truth. Spiritual awakening is not about escaping reality, but about living fully within it. Many seekers believe that enlightenment means transcending the material world, floating above everyday concerns in a state of perpetual bliss. But true mastery is not about detachment. It is about integration. It is about merging the seen and the unseen, the physical and the spiritual, the ordinary and the divine. For centuries, mystics have spoken of two distinct paths, the path of transcendence and the path of embodiment. The first leads inward, away from the distractions of the world, seeking unity with the infinite. The second brings that unity back into life, weaving higher consciousness into every action, every interaction, every moment. The great sages did not remain in caves or mountaintops. They walked among the people, fully present, fully awake. Their wisdom was not just in their words, but in the way they lived. Science is now beginning to support what the mystics have long known. Studies in neurotheology, the science of spirituality and the brain, have shown that deep meditation alters neural pathways, increasing empathy, intuition, and a sense of interconnectedness. The brain, once conditioned to see separation, begins to perceive unity. Quantum physics further suggests that consciousness is not confined to the body, but exists as part of a larger field, where intention and energy influence matter. This means that the boundaries we assume between the physical and the spiritual are illusions. There is no real division between thought and form, energy and substance, self and universe. We are already part of the infinite. We have simply forgotten how to live from that awareness. To bridge this gap, one must practice walking between worlds, functioning in the material realm while remaining deeply connected to higher intelligence. This is the art of the embodied mystic. The first step is learning to recognize the sacred in the ordinary. The Zen master, eating his rice, understood this. The divine is present in every act, no matter how mundane. Washing dishes, walking through a crowded street, even answering an email, all of these are opportunities to experience presence, to bring awareness into action. When approached with mindfulness, the simplest task becomes a form of meditation. This shift in perception allows the unseen to reveal itself. Synchronicities increase, intuition sharpens, and life unfolds with a strange, effortless precision. The mystic does not chase after signs and miracles. They simply begin to appear naturally and spontaneously. One of the most powerful techniques for anchoring this awareness is Jose Silva's alignment exercise, which integrates higher intelligence into daily experience. To begin, enter the alpha state using deep relaxation. Once in this state, bring to mind 3 moments in your life where you felt deeply connected, whether in nature, in meditation, or in a moment of pure inspiration. Allow yourself to fully relive those experiences, feeling the energy of presence expanding within you. Now visualize your daily routine, waking up, speaking with others, working, moving through the world. But this time, see yourself performing these actions while remaining fully aware of the divine intelligence flowing through you. Feel yourself moving with purpose, listening deeply, speaking with clarity, and acting with effortless grace. Hold this vision for several minutes, then affirm, I live as an open channel for higher wisdom. Every moment is sacred. As you return to waking awareness, you will notice a shift. The sense of separation begins to dissolve. You no longer feel as if you must leave behind spiritual awareness to function in the world. Instead, you bring that awareness into everything you do. This is the key to merging the seen and the unseen. It is not about abandoning responsibility or retreating into isolation. It is about learning to operate from a higher frequency while remaining fully engaged in life. History is filled with those who embody this balance. Leonardo da Vinci, a master of both science and art, saw no separation between creativity and the divine. Nikola Tesla claimed to receive his inventions as visions from a higher plane. Yogananda, though deeply mystical, engaged fully with the modern world, bringing ancient wisdom into the present. The embodied mystic walks through life with a quiet knowing. They no longer chase external success, but attract it effortlessly. They no longer seek control, but trust the flow of existence. They no longer fear the future, but move forward with certainty, knowing that they are always guided. The great Sufi poet Rumi wrote, "You were born with wings. Why prefer to crawl through life?" To live in this way is to remember who you truly are, not just a body, not just a mind, but a luminous being in constant communion with the infinite. You were never meant to live disconnected from this truth. The bridge between the spiritual and the material has always been within you. Now, all that remains is to walk across it. Chapter 10. Awakening the Infinite Self, Becoming a Conduit of Divine Intelligence. A man once came to a great spiritual teacher and asked, "How can I know the truth of my existence? How can I connect with the infinite?" The teacher smiled and led him to the ocean. Without a word, he grabbed the man's head and plunged it underwater. The man struggled, desperate for air, but the teacher held him down a moment longer before finally releasing him. Gasping, the man stumbled back, his chest heaving. "Why did you do that?" he shouted. The teacher looked into his eyes and said, "When you desire truth as much as you desire that breath, then you will know it." This story reveals an uncomfortable truth. Most people seek spiritual wisdom casually, as if it were an option rather than a necessity. They explore the idea of enlightenment, dabble in manifestation techniques, and hope for guidance from the universe. But few pursue true awakening with the urgency of a drowning man seeking air. To become a conduit of divine intelligence, one must move beyond seeking and step into being. Higher consciousness is not something to be acquired. It is something to be remembered, embodied, and lived. The infinite self has always been present. It is only obscured by the distractions of the mind, the conditioning of the past, and the illusion of separation. The great masters of history, Buddha, Yeshua, Laozi, Yogananda, did not attain enlightenment through books or external teachings alone. They became the embodiment of wisdom itself. Their presence was their teaching. Their very being radiated truth. This is the path of the awakened, the transition from knowledge to direct experience, from concept to reality. Modern science is now validating what mystics have long known. Quantum mechanics suggests that consciousness is fundamental, not an emergent property of the brain. Studies in neuroplasticity reveal that the brain can be rewired to function at higher levels of awareness. Research on heart-brain coherence shows that deep states of love, gratitude, and inner peace create electromagnetic fields that influence reality itself. This means that awakening is not a mystical fantasy. It is a biological and energetic shift that is available to anyone who commits to living in alignment with higher intelligence. The final step in this transformation is learning to operate not from the mind alone, but from the entire being. The heart, mind, and energy field must become fully aligned, acting as a single vessel for divine intelligence. To integrate this awareness, practice Jose Silva's higher self-activation exercise. Begin by entering the alpha state, allowing your mind to become calm and receptive. As you settle into deep relaxation, visualize a brilliant sphere of light above your head, pure, radiant, infinite. This light represents your higher self, the eternal part of you that has never been limited by time, fear, or illusion. Now imagine this light slowly descending, filling your head, your chest, and your entire body with a luminous energy. Feel it dissolving old patterns, burning away limitations, and expanding your awareness. The light spreads beyond your body, merging with the space around you. You are no longer confined. You are the light itself. In this state, silently affirm, I am an open conduit of divine wisdom. I align my thoughts, emotions, and actions with the highest intelligence of the universe. Sit in this awareness, absorbing its presence. Then, when you are ready, slowly return to waking consciousness, bringing this energy with you. Over time, this practice reshapes your entire way of being. Decisions become clearer. Synchronicities increase. Manifestations happen effortlessly. Fear and doubt dissolve, replaced by an unshakable inner knowing. This is what it means to become a conduit of divine intelligence, not simply accessing higher wisdom in moments of meditation, but living from that wisdom in every interaction, every choice, and every breath. History is filled with those who embodied this state. Nikola Tesla described receiving his inventions in flashes of insight, as if downloading them from another dimension. Leonardo da Vinci merged scientific genius with spiritual awareness, seeing no separation between art and divine creation. Einstein spoke of a cosmic mind, which he felt guided his discoveries. They were not separate from this intelligence, they became vessels for it. And so can you. The final stage of awakening is understanding that you were never separated to begin with. You are not a human being trying to connect with the infinite. You are the infinite experiencing itself through human form. The drop of water is never separate from the ocean. The light from the sun does not struggle to return to its source. It was never apart from it in the first place. As this truth settles into your being, life ceases to feel like a series of disconnected events. Everything is guiding you. Everything is happening through you. You do not need to force reality to bend to your will. You simply align, and reality responds. The Sufi mystic Rumi wrote, "You wander from room to room, searching for the diamond that is already around your neck." The search is over. You were never separated. The wisdom, the power, the infinite intelligence you have been seeking, it has been within you all along. Now all that remains is for you to live from it. Epilogue. The journey has just begun. A river does not question where it flows. It does not resist the curves of the land, nor does it demand to know its destination. It simply moves, trusting the pull of the unseen force that guides it to the ocean. In the same way, life is always carrying us forward, shaping us, revealing to us what we are ready to see. The question is not whether the current exists. The question is whether we surrender to it or fight against it. Throughout this book, you have explored the nature of consciousness, the vibrational field that shapes reality, the power of thought, emotion, and spiritual alignment. You have learned that manifestation is not about forcing the world to change. It is about becoming the version of yourself that is already in harmony with what you seek. You have discovered that the boundaries between the seen and unseen are illusions, that higher intelligence is not outside of you, but within you, waiting to be awakened. But understanding is not enough. Knowledge that is not lived remains nothing more than words on a page. The real journey begins when you apply this wisdom, when you embody it in your daily life, and when you no longer seek truth but become it. The mystics have always taught that enlightenment is not an end point, it is a way of being. There will still be challenges, there will still be moments of doubt, of forgetting. But the difference now is that you know. You know that you are not separate from the universe. You know that you are not bound by the limitations of the mind. You know that you are more than a body, more than a fleeting existence moving through time. You are consciousness itself, infinite, luminous, and always connected. There is nothing left to search for. The path has already been laid before you. The river is already flowing. All that remains is for you to step forward, not with hesitation, not with doubt, but with the quiet certainty of one who has remembered who they truly are. And so, as you close this book, remember this: the journey has not ended. It has only just begun.